Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joined with me today is a member of Dog Aid, Rachel Rodgers. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you feeling? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're coming across loud and clear. Skype has been working so much better over the last week or so. We've had some trials and tribulations on Skype and trying to use it with the internets and the gremlins and things like that, but it seems to be coming across really well. So thank you very much for joining me. Got a few notes to go through before we get into what we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, at the moment, they're talking about slowly releasing people out into the wild. There's this COVID-19 thing. I wanted to just quickly say, I wanted to just advise people to kind of be sensible about going out and getting out of lockdown, because I saw something in the news from Telford yesterday about the KFC had opened and the queues were tailed back onto the M54 and people couldn't move because people wanted Kentucky Fried Chicken. I thought that was just crazy. So yeah, I wouldn't everybody just rush out. I mean, what are your plans for when this is all released, Rachel? What would be the first thing you want to go and do?
I'll probably take my dogs somewhere more exciting for a walk than where they've been able to go the last, what are we on, 6 weeks now? So yeah, get them some new sniffs and maybe go to a beach or something.
Beach sounds good, but I imagine everybody's feeling that. I was thinking about this because I'm an essential worker, so I've been working for all of this, and I was thinking I could do with a holiday, but I'd imagine there's a few million people that are thinking exactly the same. So yeah, just be sensible, guys, when this is all released. I want to point you guys in the direction of the #Believe CD that Mark Fielden's put together. Mark Fielden's a great guy, put Chords Crush Cancer together. He decided to get a load of independent artists from around locally to us that have put music together that he's selling for charity for the NHS. He was chatting to me last night, but I was in a weird... I'll try and get him on the show. But #Believe, if you search for it on Facebook, there's a picture of the rainbow flag with the NHS on there. Give that a purchase. And yeah, let's get into the show. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's your background then? Because obviously we're going to be talking about guide dogs today. Was that something that you've always done? Is that something that you...
No, so I used to work originally with dolphins and sea lions.
What? No way, that's crazy.
So I worked in kind of exotic animal training at the start of my career, and about 6-7 years ago, moved back to England and started working with dogs and got into it that way.
What is it like working with dolphins? Dolphins are an enigma, aren't they, right?
They are very, very intelligent, and sometimes I think they were more intelligent than those of us who were working with them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Where were you working with them then? Where was that?
That was in the Dominican Republic.
Wow, fantastic. That's great. And you had to come back here and work with...
There comes a time when you have to get what my parents would call a real job. And so that's what I did. I came back and got a real job working in an animal rescue centre in this country, and then moved to kind of just doing actual training of dogs, so pet dogs, actually based in Shrewsbury at Dogs Trust for quite a while. And then very recently joined Dog Aid. So we are assistants in disability. So we're not actually guide dogs.
Oh,
we
okay.
are working with people's own pet dogs, which is the difference really. So charities like guide dogs tend to breed puppies. They train up the puppies and pair them with their clients. And the reason that we're different is we are a much smaller charity. We've only got 6 paid members of staff, but our head office is in Shrewsbury. And the way we work is we have a team of over 100 volunteer dog trainers who have their own businesses all around the United Kingdom. And we pair them with a client who's got a physical disability. And that dog trainer then trains the person's pet dog to become their assistance dog.
Okay, so instead of having a dedicated life of I guess you could say, service that a guide dog is used to. You're using it like people's pets and giving them the skills they need. Oh, that's fantastic. That's actually really fascinating, because a lot of the questions that I've written down here were about guide dogs and their life of servitude. But that's really interesting. I actually really like that, because, guide dogs become... the people that use the guide, I guess they become like a member of the family, right? They become an essential part of their living. So if it's like your
yeah, definitely. And I think one of the differences with our dogs being the person's pet already is they've already got that established bond with their owner. And they already know things like the owner's routine. Some of the people might have a physical disability that involves them having kind of regular hospital appointments or some equipment that maybe other dogs wouldn't be kind of comfortable around. It might make funny sounds. Even just like the sight of it might spook some dogs. But these dogs have lived there already. They're that person's pets. They're used to all of that, which is really helpful when we're doing our training.
Yeah, I bet. And it must be good for... I don't know. What's it like completely changing a routine for a dog as an owner? You're used to a dog having a certain routine and doing certain things, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, boot camp, let's go. How's that for people?
Yeah, so it's really gradual, actually. The process with dog aid takes anywhere between kind of 1 and 2 years. It depends on the level of training the dog's had just as a pet dog. Some people haven't done very much with their pet dogs. Other people have done all sorts of training classes and obedience with their dogs already. And those dogs tend to kind of fly through the process a bit quicker because their owner has already got the training skills. They already know the methods that we're using, and it makes it a bit easier for them to get their own dogs to do the bits and pieces that they need to.
Oh, sounds interesting. This is actually really fascinating, because we're looking at things from a different perspective, aren't we? And I think that's a brilliant thing, actually, because when you make it a guide dog. Listen to me. When you make a guide dog, when you spend a lot of time training an actual guide dog from a puppy right through to its life, there's a bit of risk factor in there, isn't there? But that it's not going to work out, or I don't know how these things work out. But with a pet, like you said, the infrastructure is already put in there. So yeah, that is fascinating. Like I said, looking at a different angle.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main differences is that our dogs help with a range of physical disabilities, whereas guide dogs is for sight loss. They're, when they're breeding and selecting their dogs, they're working on one particular thing that dog needs to be able to do, so guiding the person. Whereas our dogs don't necessarily need to be a set size or a set breed, because they'll be helping their owner on whatever that person needs support with. So some of our dogs are quite small. We've got some little cockapoos and things, but because their owner doesn't need them to do certain tasks, they can do everything they need to do. So they might do things like tugging the person's socks off their feet, passing them items they've dropped on the floor, things like that. But it doesn't matter that they're small. They can still do everything that they need to do.
Oh, brilliant. I was going to ask, what kind of tasks do you train the dogs to do? Have you got more examples of what these magic things that dogs can do? Because I imagine it's quite strenuous on the dogs.
Yeah, so it really depends on what medical condition the person's got. So for some of our clients that we work with, they might have breathing problems and need to have, say, an inhaler or some kind of medication. And the dog can be trained to go and find that medication. So if the person is, in the living room and needs their medicine, they can go and tell the dog will go and collect it from the other room and bring it to them, which can be really helpful and can help our clients to have a sense of independence as well. Whereas previously they might have needed someone like a human in the house, carer, to go and get that for them. Now the dog can do it. They don't have to have someone there to rely on, which is really helpful. But yeah, they do all sorts of different tasks, things like opening cupboard doors, fetching the post. A lot of them do picking up of items that are dropped on the floor, so they can pick up phones, keys, all sorts of things. Even your really thin debit card, credit card, that could be hard enough for all of us to pick up on the floor. They manage to pick that up with their mouths and pass it to people as well, which is great.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. I mean, I was always good at training dogs. I used to have a dog. I used to have an Alsatian I had to leave behind when I moved to Telford, unfortunately. But I used to enjoy training like new tasks and new challenges? Because dogs enjoy that, don't they? It's all fun and games to them. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things we've been working on during the lockdown period, because a lot of our dogs are still in training. And even though we can't help them face to face to do their training, they still need that mental stimulation. But our qualified dogs, who are used to being out and about and helping their owners to do tasks, they're potentially stuck in the house now for quite a long time. A lot of them are shielding and are going to need to remain in the home. And one of the things that you can do to keep the dogs entertained is teach them something new. So we've been having regular Zoom calls and setting weekly challenges on our Facebook page for our clients to teach the dogs just, fun things, but to give our clients something to do and to keep the dogs' brains ticking over. It's a good form of enrichment for them. And they did one, we put a video up the other week of like a leave it challenge. So one of the skills they need is what we called food refusal. So if there was food on the floor, you don't want an assistance dog to just go and snatch that hamburger that somebody's dropped by the canal. They need to be able to leave that item. So we've been practicing that, but using food to spell out thank you messages to our key workers and the NHS.
Oh, nice.
And then we had lots of nice pictures of the assistance dogs next to their thank you messages. So it was functional. It was worthwhile them doing it, but it was a bit of fun at the same time.
It's it's. I mean, like cats and dogs are like the most amazing things on like Facebook, aren't they? They're just like the videos you can just sit all day, can't you? Just perusing through because dogs are the best. But is there a point where you got to realize that as much as this dog is your pet, there's got to be a bit of a distance between being a bit too soft, you know?
Well, the way that we train is using what we call positive reinforcement methods.
Nice.
So
okay.
we reward the dogs when they do something good. We use very ethical training and modern training techniques. So our clients and the trainers who work with them are all doing their training in ways that isn't going to kind of punish or harm the dog in any way. So, yes, dogs are going to make mistakes. And certainly with the leave it training, when you start doing that, some of them might go to take the treat or the piece of food you've put on the floor. But the way that we train is about setting the dogs up for success. So we shouldn't be putting food on the floor for them to learn the food refusal until they're ready for that. So we might start with it in a hand higher up. And then if they went to take it, you could close your hand around it. So they don't actually ever take it. You wouldn't need to punish them.
So the
We're
reward
just setting
is
them
there.
up for success. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love this. I think it's great. And how many clients do you guys have? Is it just Shropshire you work in, or is it? What's your?
The whole of the UK. So yeah, so anywhere where we can find a qualified dog trainer who's got skills in what we call shaping, which is the process we use. So quite a lot of it's clicker training based. Anywhere where we can get a trainer, we can help a client at the minute. We'd like to be able to help more clients and cover a wider kind of spread across the UK. And by doing that, we're looking at, in the long run, setting up like an online portal where we can kind of start to train clients remotely. So even if we don't have a face-to-face dog trainer near them, myself and some of the other trainers can put together videos and online stuff for the clients to work through at home with their dogs. And then we can hold workshops and do the assessments, maybe once every few months, meet up and do it that way. But at the minute, I think when we were in 2019, we had 108 qualified dogs. So once we've passed all 3 levels, so 108, and then we've got at least another 100 who are going through their training at the minute.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. I love the. I keep saying it. I've said it since the beginning. The online initiatives that have been shown. During the lockdown thing, you guys using Zoom and Skype and whatever you need to use, like we've done that. I mean, we've gone from the studio to doing this, and you guys are showing that we can carry on, we can adapt. So what's that been like for you guys? Having to change.
Yeah, it's been really good actually. So we started off with just kind of giving everyone a way of kind of just testing using Zoom to see whether they like it, using the video conferencing software. So we have virtual coffee breaks. So was really just about kind of everyone being able to get together and having the social side as well. Because for a lot of our clients, it's a really isolating time for them. They're used to going out and spending time with friends and family. And, now they might just be them and their dog at home. So it's been really nice to get together and just chat, find out how all the dogs are, find out how they're all getting on with everything. So we started with just coffee breaks, which was a good easy tester to get used to being filmed and kind of the delays and having to talk one at a time and all of those things. And now we have actual training sessions. So we tend to get one of our volunteer dog trainers to come on, and they'll take over and share their screen. So they'll show videos of training techniques, and then the clients can ask any questions. We'll set them a task, and the following week they then share their videos of how they've got on with the training.
Wow.
And we all feed back on it as a group, and it's been really lovely because they learn from each other as well. You might come up with an idea someone else hasn't thought of on how to get, your dog to do an emergency stop when they're away from you. And it's been really nice to have that collaborative working side of it.
I imagine it's helped you kind of evolve, really. I mean, this is like probably the way forward maybe for you guys to expand. What do you think?
Yeah, so we were hoping to have an online platform put in. It was part of when I came to the role as head dog trainer and service delivery development manager. That was my aim for coming to Dog Aid, was to get this online platform established so that we could help more clients across the UK. And this is just the circumstances we're in at the minute has just kind of pushed everything forward a little bit quicker than we were expecting to be doing it. I
think that's the same for a lot of people. It's a crazy situation, but I think it's the kick up the backside we all needed, if I'm honest. Training dogs in public is difficult, right? I imagine there's lots of environmental aspects around cars, people, noise, busyness. How difficult is that normally for you guys?
Yeah, so for some dogs, and certainly assistance dogs, they've got to be comfortable in those situations because they're going to go with their owner everywhere. So they need to be able to cope with screaming children or motorbikes flying past. So the very start of our process, when someone registers an interest of training their own dog to be an assistance dog, is that we pair them with a local trainer who goes to assess the dog. Because for some reason or another, it could be something that's happened in their past. It just could be, their genetic predisposition. Some dogs aren't going to be comfortable in those situations and unfortunately won't be suitable to be an assistance dog. So that's the key thing really, is going out and doing these initial assessments and seeing the temperament of the dog. Are they going to be suitable? And are they also going to be physically able to do the tasks that the person needs them to do, whether that's in the house or in public? But a lot of that comes down to how the dogs have been kind of looked after as a puppy. So between the ages of 12 to 16 weeks, dogs have a stage called the socialization period, which is basically when their brain's like a sponge. So anything they come into contact with, they then learn about. So it's really important that they're learning good things about whatever it is they're learning about. So sounds, if it's fireworks, they need to have good experiences with loud bangs during that time period, so that when they're older, they're much more used to it. It doesn't bother them.
Things like cars.
Yeah, it's really interesting with how they develop that window of opportunity for dogs. It's key. So even textures, things like walking on a beach, grass, wet grass, all these things, if they feel it as a puppy and, maybe they get a treat afterwards and lots of praise and a stroke, it's a nice positive experience for them. They're going to learn to like that thing. They're going to be comfortable around it when they're older.
I guess with things like the door being knocked and like phones ringing and things like that, it's really important to embrace that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because, loads of us have pet dogs who bark when the postman comes and the letterbox goes. Because, for some dogs, they then, even though they've barked, maybe because they were asleep and the noise has woken them up, they bark. They then look out the window, they see the postman is walking away. They then, in their mind, they've won, they've succeeded. They've had a little bark, and the postman, the scary things, moved away. So
Yeah.
that can really quickly be learned that, oh, the postman comes, I bark, he leaves, even though actually the postman's leaving because he's delivered the post. It's nothing to do with the barking, but it can very easily
Hey,
become
come
a
back.
habit, and they bark at those things. Yeah, exactly.
I like that. It all sounds like a bit of fun, but what are the challenges for you guys? What are the things that where you like? Oh, it's getting to that stage again. Here we go. This is the hard bit. What's that for you?
I think one of the things that can be a bit of a setback for us, and it comes with the type of work that we're doing, is you could maybe make really good progress. The clients work really, really hard with their dog and with their volunteer training, but then they're ill. They might, whatever condition they have might set them back. They might, end up in hospital. They might deteriorate. And then the training has to take a sidestep because their health is the most important thing. So that can be a bit of a stumbling block and can delay the process a little bit. But sometimes as well, you can have incidents with people who don't understand that, a dog who's a working dog shouldn't be stroked or messed with. So, you could be out, you're doing some work with a client and their dog, and a kid could run up and touch the dog, and the dog, that could spook the dog, which can then cause them to have a setback. And it's really hard because they're cute. A lot of these are cute, fluffy little dogs that are lovely, someone's pet spaniel and things. And until they're a qualified assistance dog, they might have nothing on them to indicate that they're working. And people, even though a lot of us try to tell people you don't just touch a stranger's dog, people do it.
Yeah, they do.
So
yeah, they do.
we all, I'm sure I did it as a kid. Mom, look, a dog, and went over to see it. And it would really help if people kind of, whether it's a pet dog or its assistance dog, people asked owners before going over and kind of stroking the dog and feeding the dog. Please don't feed somebody else's dog.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing
please.
how many people will just walk past and give it a crisp.
That's really rude. I mean, I got taught that was rude from a young age. I mean, obviously there's the don't touch the strange dogs. I mean, we're always taught that, aren't we? But like you said, people are silly. What's the way to spot if a dog's working or not? Because I know you guys aren't guide dogs, but is there a way to spot whether it's a good time actually for a dog to get, or is it just like a big no-no?
No, a lot of our clients will happily talk to you about their dogs, tell you what their dogs are helping them with. The key thing is to ask. So when a dog's in training, what you might notice is they have like a yellow sash that goes down their lead that might have the words in training. So from a distance, you might not read it. But if you see like a flash on the lead, like a plastic covering, that's one to keep an eye out for. Our dogs all have red jackets when they're fully qualified. And other assistant dogs have different colours for their different charities as well. But if you see a dog who's got like a jacket or a harness on, always ask. It could just be that the owner's got a special harness for the dog and it's just a pet dog, but it's always worth asking, are they in training? Am I okay to say hello? Or what's your dog training for? They will love to tell you. They really will.
One of the questions I wrote actually is, can you overdose on doggy snuggles? And that answers the question. I feel a couple of really silly questions
Not
at the end.
Not from your own dog, but from off other people's. Yeah, you should always ask before other people's.
It goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the episode, guys. Be sensible, okay? Especially, actually, as we are about to enter the unknown, really. I feel, I'm more worried about the public being released into society and en masse. From what I gather, I mean, it's going to trickle, but people don't listen. They don't listen. So I put training dogs while in lockdown compared to when the world is released like the kraken in a koi pond, because I imagine it's going to be absolute chaos out there, isn't it? Like, what would your advice be to people that are training dogs when things get busier?
Yeah, so one of the things that we were talking about actually at the end of last week was we don't know what Boris is going to say on Sunday. One of the things they might say is that you can go out, but you need to wear a mask. Now, for a lot of dogs, seeing a bunch of people who are suddenly missing half their face could potentially be really scary and really weird. So one of the things that people can do, whether it's a pet dog or an assistance dog, is starting to get their dog used to the appearance of somebody wearing a mask. So, if you've got one of the fabric ones at home that people are making on YouTube and all sorts of things, or even just a scarf, something to cover your face, and then go and get a treat, so that your dog can start to associate that strange looking, half a face missing person with good things happening. Yeah. So maybe have it next to your jar of treats in the kitchen, and whenever you feed the dog a treat, pop it on, so they get a really happy, positive association with seeing that, because it is going to look weird. They'll probably never have seen that before.
It's weird for us, never mind dogs. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I have to
But
wear.
they don't understand social distancing either, do they?
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. Is like when people are queuing up outside your Tesco Express or, wherever you've got around you, and you've got those dots on the floor. Dogs aren't used to seeing those dots, and they're not used to standing 2 meters apart, right? So what are your thoughts on that? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, less so for some of our dogs. Some of our dogs are dual purpose. So we do have some dogs who are dog aid qualified. So they're helping with a physical disability, but they're also a trained guide dog. So they might be with an owner who has got sight loss. And those dogs don't know, their owner isn't going to be able to see where those markings are on the floor or know about the queue. So, if you see someone who's got an assistance dog and they go to the front of the queue, they're not being rude. They're not pushing in. The dogs can't be explained how to do that, or why suddenly we've all got to be in a weird way snaking around the cars in a car park. They don't know that. So I think it's really important for people to just be kind of mindful of that. And if they go to the front of the queue, just take a couple of steps back. If you see them, just let them through, because the dogs don't understand. They're just doing what they've been taught to do.
And dogs can't follow arrows on a supermarket either. There's the one-way aisles.
Not without training. I'm pretty sure we could train them to do it, but every supermarket signs are different. It's going to take quite a lot of work.
I was in, where was I? Was it Aldi or Lidl? I was in one of them and there was no arrows on the floor. I was looking for the arrows. I was like, okay. This weird dilemma. I was like, can I just go down here? I don't know. It's the weird situation where I'm looking for arrows on the floor to do my shopping. It's just a strange situation.
You end up doing that dance with people as well, don't you? When you think you've gone the right way down the aisle and they're coming down the other way, and you have a panic and you're trying to decide who's got to move.
I was in Asda in Telford, and I actually saw someone get shouted at for going the wrong way down an aisle, and I was like, "Good on you, good on you!" Like it's just a weird thing. I was, okay, this is the world we live in right now. How are your clients adapting to COVID? You're saying that there's a lot of your clients sort of shielding at the moment. I mean, I always worry about mental health and how people are coping and things like that. And you guys sound like you're doing a good job connecting with your clients. But how is it affecting people?
Yeah, for some of them, they've potentially got immunosuppressant conditions or medication. That means they're at higher risk. Or breathing difficulties as well. So they potentially are going to have to stay in for longer. They might have been already in the house shielding before lockdown. So for some of them, it's a really long time period of being socially isolated. So we have a communal Facebook group for our qualified assistance dog pairs. So they can all, chat to each other on there. And then we have a group as well for those who are working towards their assistance dog status, and they can have the social aspect on there as well. People share just, normal pictures of their dogs, not necessarily the dogs doing assistance dog work, but, remember that time we could take the dogs to the beach, and there's a picture of the dogs at the beach. And, we're trying as much as we can to keep in contact with people. And not everybody wants to have their video on when we do video conferencing, and that's fine too, so some people just join and have their video off and just speak. Others just kind of sit and use the chat box, if they're not comfortable doing the audio either. We're quite happy to ring people as well, and send emails to check in on how everyone's doing. But we're very fortunate in that a lot of people have good support networks around them already, and for a lot of them, their main support is their dog. Having the companionship of their dog is key for them. The dogs are there as an aid, they're there to support them physically, but they're also there, it isn't what we do. We don't focus on psychological things, and the bond and that kind of thing isn't our main focus. Our main focus is the assistance work, but it's inevitable when your dog's doing those things for you day in, day out. They're your support in other ways as well, aren't they? Emotional support as well.
Emotional emotional support is really important. I think I've seen a lot of people getting things like chickens, and there's lots of people adopting like cats and things like that in this time, because I imagine it's just nice to have something other than Piers Morgan in the house with you. It's just a reach for a bit of comfort. I feel that. That's really nice. I was going to ask something and I forgot. But no, this all sounds really. No, that's what I was going to say. Is like people that are having to use Zoom and Skype and social media to try and keep things running. The kind of cultural business and service ambassadors out there in the world. But for people like that might have physical or mental disabilities, people that are getting on a bit, it's helping people embrace technology, right? Get out there and download Skype or Zoom. You may not have used it before, but now you are. Congratulations. That's what this is.
Yeah, I mean, my grandparents, my grandma's just turned 90 just before lockdown. And I had my first ever Facebook video call with them. And, it's great. That was never a thing. She'd never done that
Are
before.
you there?
But now, I was about to say, yeah, I could hear her fantastic, but I had a lovely view of the wall the whole time. I couldn't see her. She's not quite got it, but we could hear her, and that was what mattered.
Whenever I ring my dad in Ireland, I get like a corner of his face, lots of obscenities. Is this thing on? I got. It's quite funny. I do another show called the Weekly Bazaar, where we talk about the absurd news, the crazy news that's going on in the world at the moment. And we're getting inundated with like links to like Zoom conference calls where people have just like got up and been naked, or they've done something stupid, or people just aren't used to this way of world. But I think we're gonna have to get used to it, even when things get back to normal. I think embracing this kind of life, like you said, like we were talking about earlier, this is a way forward for you guys. This is a new tool for you. So I think we've got to get used to that. So you're in Shrewsbury then? You guys are in Shrewsbury?
Yeah, so our head office is in Shrewsbury, and we, at the minute, we're obviously all working from home, but at the head office, you've got kind of the fundraising team as well. So obviously, for us, one of the biggest things that's happened with the lockdown is a lot of the events that we rely on and other charities rely on haven't happened.
Yeah.
So kind of that source of income, or trying to find virtual ways of fundraising, has also been something people have had to try and adapt to.
Yes, I've seen a lot of it, locally and nationally as well. Captain Tom, or Colonel Tom, should we say right now. And obviously Mark Fielden with his Believe CD. What have you guys tried?
So we've had a couple of our clients did the 2.6 challenge. So the one that replaced the London Marathon the other weekend. And they've done, for example, 26 assistance dog tasks. So they videoed their dogs doing different things they do on a day-to-day basis, not only to raise funds, but to raise awareness of what we do at Dog Aid. So we had lovely Zach, the Golden Retriever, and he did amazingly. He's raised over £400 for Dog Aid already.
Well done, Zach.
Yeah, and his videos are just adorable. You get to see him going, and there's a button in the house, which he has been taught to go and press if his owner is unwell. And it's like an alarm button to get her support. And you see the videos of him going and pressing those as well, which is really nice. Bringing her a medication. Yeah, he's a superstar, that dog. And he's now fundraising for us. So we're very grateful.
Do you know what? It would be so hard to have like a moral compass for this, because I can just imagine the dog grabbing me a beer from the fridge, or pulling the footstool towards me so I can relax or something. It'd be, for me, I'd be like, yeah, let's find some cool tricks to do with the dogs. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, what would you suggest to people in ways that they can help you guys locally and nationally?
Yeah, so for us in particular locally, it would be really helpful if anybody post-lockdown would be able to take one of the collection tins. So if there's anybody who's got like links or works in a little local business who'd be happy to have a Dog Aid collection tin, then please do get in touch, because we can send those out to people and then we can collect them. We're always looking for new volunteers to help out at events. So, people to come and shake a bucket on a weekend, or help out at some of the kind of things, like we go to Crufts every year, and we do little demonstrations and things. But we also need people to help out, maybe doing challenges. if somebody's, thinking post lockdown, I'm going to do a challenge and marathon, bungee jump, whatever it is, and would like to do it to support us, that would be fantastic too.
Oh, okay. So, listeners, if you're listening and you'd like to help these guys that do an amazing job, with what did you say there was like 6 of you or something?
Six paid members of staff, yeah. Everybody else is a volunteer. So we've got over 100 volunteer dog trainers across the country. But weirdly, what we don't have, even though our head office is in Shrewsbury, at the minute we have no volunteer dog trainers in Shropshire. So if you're listening and you are a dog trainer, you've got experience, and you work with positive reinforcement methods, please get in touch, because we have clients in the local area who would absolutely love to be paired with you.
I imagine it's such a rewarding job as well, a bit like being a teacher. You see those the pupils in the class excel. Get attached to dogs learning new tricks. I imagine it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the benefits for the trainers is that we hold kind of workshops a couple of times a year. So they get training from myself and some of the other, the experienced assistant dog trainers on how to do the tasks. And that's covered. We cover their mileage, but it's learning new skills. So some of the things that you're teaching the dogs to do, I don't know, loading the washing machine. If you're a pet dog trainer, you've probably never taught a dog to do that, because it just might not be something you've done. So it's giving them new skills as well. So yeah, everybody's learning on the job, and it's so rewarding seeing how empowering it is for the clients, because they train their own dogs. The trainers just coach them. They're just there as a coach. They help give them the skills, but then they only meet up maybe once a week for an hour, and then the client is training the dog the rest of the time on their own. So seeing how you've empowered that client and that person to train their own dog to do all these amazing things that then gives them greater kind of independence in life is really rewarding.
And from what you were saying earlier, there's a nice community of you guys as well, supporting one another.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a coffee break, several coffee breaks just for the dog trainers as well, not just the clients, because a lot of our dog trainers, they have their own independent dog training companies. They can't work at the minute. If they're doing group classes, they've all stopped as well. So it's a pretty hard time for some of them as well. So we've been catching up regularly, and some of them have been really generous in giving their time to help me do the online training for clients, which has been really kind of them.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. I love you guys. I think you're great. And you know what? I always say this to most, I'm so welcoming to people, especially locally, that have such a big impact like you guys. So, if there's any way we can help you out, now post lockdown, just give us a shout and you can come on and talk to us about whatever you guys want to do. And how can people find you, like social media,
yes.
etc.?
Yeah, so on social media, we're just at Dog Aid. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're at Dog Aid Pics, and we post a lot of photos at the minute of our assistance dogs. So you can see all the different range of breed, size, and dogs that we have. They're lovely. And then we've got our website as well, so dogaid.org.uk. And that's the best place for people to go if they're thinking of helping us, whether they want to be a fundraiser volunteer or whether they want to be a dog trainer volunteer. The qualified dog trainers can find out more on there as well.
Fantastic. That's great. I got a bit of news. There's a bit of stuff to throw on the end of this podcast, but you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good. I wanted to talk a bit about supporting local businesses when this is all going out, because of course we need to help each other. I have repurposed our old Facebook group as a message board for people that have got local events going on, independent businesses, whatever. Even if you sell Avon, whatever, just use that message board to your advantage, and tell people about what you're doing. But on a bigger scale, the Shrewsbury Bid or Original Shrewsbury have thrown up the Support Shrewsbury website, which is fantastic. The slogan there is buy gifts, vouchers or experiences. And if you go to www.supportshrewsbury.co.uk, you can find fantastic ways to support your local independent businesses. I think it's a fantastic idea. This episode is going to be late, so I apologize if you listen to this and it's Tuesday, but I'm doing a film challenge at the weekend. I've never made a film in my life, and I thought, my You Suck crew, the other show that I work for, I thought it'd be great to sign us up to a film competition where we're going to make a short movie. We've got to write, film and edit a short movie in 3 days. I was like, yeah, we can do this. Never done it before, but let's do it across an ocean. between me and my co-host in Vermont. And we took on this massive challenge. So I'm going to be doing that all weekend. So this is going to be a day late. And finally, our shared biscuits. We did a show about 3 weeks ago where we talked a lot about addiction, drink, depression, and the isolation, the lockdown. We're going to be doing it again. Shared Biscuits 2. We're going to be doing it in about 2 weeks' time, and we are asking for interaction from you guys. I appreciate there's a lot of people not really messaging us on it's kind of died down a bit recently. I guess because people have got better things to do and worry about. But if you do have a poem, or you do have music, or you want to get involved, drop us a line. You can drop us an email at shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com. That's all that out the way. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. You've been a great guest.
Thank you very much.
You've been great.
It's been really good to chat to you. Thank you.
You're welcome back on anytime. And Skype worked without any problems. Last week it was all these internet gremlins.
Must have been too many people trying to use it at once or something.
Yeah, there's a break in the clouds. Thank God. You've been fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. Make sure you catch us next week. Peace out.
Thank you.